Hey, welcome back. So, I'm about to go meet up with my boy Walt. He used to live on island. He's off for a little while, but he's back in town visiting, and he's one of my OG dive partners. And pretty stoked to go meet up with him right now. We're gonna go to a place we call Broke Toe Landing, because the first time we ever went there, I broke my toe. So let's see how it looks out there. Maybe a little bit rough. It's always really fun, but a little bit intimidating diving with Walt because he's kind of a superhero. He can take 6 months off, a year off of diving, and he can warm up at 80 feet at over 2-minute breath hold. No practice. I don't know. He's a freak. I get asked quite a bit about my breath hold and my training. So surprisingly, I actually don't hold my breath outside the water very often. I use a method called Buteyko method. It's an old Russian system, and I can do it while I drive because it's pretty safe. There's no breath hold. I would never hyperventilate anyway. So it's basically a 4-second inhale and a 16-second exhale through my nose only. But the caveat is that I exhale all of my air on my exhale. So I empty completely out. I take a very, very small sip of 4 seconds in, as little volume as I can stand, and then I do a 16-second exhale. And I'll do that 10 to 20 minutes. It's pretty miserable, but it makes you very sharp, very calm, and it gets you prepped for your dive. Give it a shot.
Good, man. Good to be in the water with you. Good. I haven't seen this guy in forever. This is Walt, one of my best friends, one of my OG dive partners. Now you guys know.
Now, as we pop into this rough water, it's every bit as rough and murky as we hoped it wouldn't be. So let's see how it changes as we swim out a little bit further. But as we're going out here, and we got quite a long ways to go, it is not clearing up. This is only 30 to 40 feet, and we can barely see the bottom. And now Walt heads down for his first drop of the day. After a bit further swim out, we're warming up at about 50 feet here, and he almost completely disappears. But after he surfaces safely, I head down for my first drop of the day, and I did throw my throw flasher, and I started to lose it on the way down, so I had to go chase it, and I ended up finding it in these boulders, which was good. And I'm just going to get warmed up. I'm going to take a look around, see what the fish are doing, and check out this super cool structure that just holds a lot of life. And it's a bit spooky with how murky it is. You can't see very far, and it makes it a little bit challenging to relax knowing that you can't see what's around you. But the bonus is the fish can't see you very well either, and sometimes they'll come in a little bit closer to check you out. But not this time. I'm just seeing a couple goats, schools of eke, but nothing worth shooting. Just kind of getting a lay of the land for today before I head back up and get some air and recover. And we're gonna move on to our next spot. But it's looking pretty cool out there. So then we punched out a little bit deeper. Walt heads down for a second drop, and we're in the 20-25 meter zone here, which gets a little bit sketchy because right about 50 feet he completely disappears and I cannot spot him anymore. So I'm trying to keep my eyes in one spot and stay focused so I don't lose him when he surfaces, but this is definitely pretty sketchy, and we're hoping for some better fish down there, and luckily when he comes up, he says it is fishier, so I'm gonna go head down in the same spot and just take my time. It's a little bit spooky dropping through this murk, so I have my eyes closed most of the time, and I get to the bottom and check out what we got here. I'm in a pretty good bouldery zone. There's some nice fish out. It's a small Moana collie. He keeps whipping around, but definitely not big enough to shoot. And I'm hoping to find some of those moves that I know are lurking in the murk out there. But there's that really fatty table boss. And I'm thinking, okay, if I don't see anything else, I'm going to take him because I don't have anything on the kui yet. And he's probably 4 or 5 pounds, and I do love me some table boss. So if I don't see anything else, I'm going to grab him. A couple waha nuis poking out over there. A couple palanis. And some smaller goats, but nope, I'm gonna take that table boss, just wait for him to clear that rock. Gives me the shot I need. Whack, and he takes off behind that boulder and tries to get himself tangled up in these coral heads, but it's not gonna work, buddy. You're gonna have to come to the surface with me. And it's a long ways up going through that murk, but I surfaced just fine. Walt's there to catch me. And look at that guy. And because we're in a pretty fishy zone, we try to stay in the same spot. but because we cannot see the bottom very well, we can't line up with any structure. And while we think we're in the same spot, we're not. We ended up drifting a little bit with this mild current, and we ended up in a little bit more barren zone, and it's still pretty deep, almost 80 feet, and I'm just not seeing the structure or the fish that I was in the last spot. So I rushed my breathe up a little bit, and I'm not feeling really comfortable, and because I'm not feeling confident in this spot, I'm just gonna bail on this one, go back to the surface and recover, and then try again later. So then when Walt comes up after his dive, he said, yeah, I think we're back into a pretty good zone and it's worth a drop. So I go back down again after a proper breathe up, and I'm taking a look around, and it is definitely a bit fishier. There's some good stuff poking around out there. I'm just gonna wait for the right one. Some nicer goats, some good opelokala. I'm just gonna wait until I see the right fish, and I got a good feeling about this dive. So as I look over here, it's a little bit livelier. I see some really nice goats. I'm thinking one of those will work. And as I slowly swing my gun over, the fatty comes in, and I get ahead of him, line him up, and put a spinal tap into him. And that's a second one on the Kui today. We're heading on back up. What's up? And as I'm on my way up, you can see how murky it is. It's a little disorienting and a little scary. It feels like it's a long way to the surface when it's that murky out. But that fat munu comes up with me, and I'm pretty stoked about that guy. So here's a shot of the surface hanging out with Walt as we're just getting tossed by this chop, and he's trying to breathe up and relax, but we're just inhaling water through the snorkel and looking through that murk and getting super vertigo and real uncomfortable and nauseous. So now I'm going to show the whole dive this time and take you guys down with me so you can see what we have to deal with. So I just did my duck dive, and I'm trying to be as smooth and calm as possible on the way down. I'm closing my eyes and really taking my time. I'm trying to relax, not worry about where the bottom is. I'm just drifting through the murk and focusing on my relaxation and the fluidity of my dive. I want to be as calm as I can, and I'm just going to get there when I get there. And because we haven't been able to see the bottom, I've been landing in the wrong spots all day in really uncomfortable locations. The fish can see me, I'm spooking things. So I'm trying to find a good spot to land in, and this time I end up hitting it just right. I got a flat spot on the bottom, I got boulders on all sides of me that are protecting me, I got a good handhold, and I can see everything. This is an ideal spot to hide in, and I'm very relaxed now. So as I'm looking around, it's pretty fishy. It's looking pretty promising, and there's been a couple big moves that have been poking around in the background all day that just will not come in. So I'm thinking if I stay calm enough for long enough, all these small fish will come in and check me out. Even that big fat uhu, it's probably 8-9 pounds. Now the fish in the background see this, and they're starting to feel a little bit more safe, I'm hoping. And as I look over, there's that fat moo. He's really big. He's been poking around all day. We just haven't been able to get him to come in, and I can tell that's as close as he wants to get to me, but I have a good handhold. He's almost within range, so I take a lunge as he turns. I take kind of a desperate shot, and I thought I lost him here, but as I look over, I got him. So I just unloop him so I don't have to go back down. I got a decent enough shot into him, so I'm just going to take my time surfacing. He's creating a lot of drag because he's pretty big, so I'm trying to take my time on the way up, let some of the line out of my fingers as I'm on my way up so he doesn't create quite as much drag so I can surface just fine. But coming up through this murk, man, it is tough, a little bit spooky, but I surface just fine. I get that move up all in one piece. Oh yeah, super stoked on that guy.
All right, heard that one. Over 150. Finally, huh? Take that. Look how cool those are.
I might have one more in me. My stomach's not like.
I'm good, man. This is what I needed.
Okay, sweet.
Yep.
Down to fish back. Maybe drop on that a little point down there on the way back.
Okay.
Sweet.
And what I believe is that Sam Honu comes in to check us out to give a blessing on our way back in, because we got a long way to go, and it is pretty exhausting fighting against the swell and the current. Yeah, we had a long day, and then we dived down to get underneath it, and now we're back in the sand a little bit. Look how cool that is. Just pushing the sand back and forth makes it super silty, really trippy. especially when you're nauseous. So now we're nearing our exit, and it is just all whitewashed out. So it's a lot easier to dive down to the bottom and get underneath it. You're much faster, it's much clearer, much calmer, and kind of doing this duck dive thing for about 15 minutes as we struggle to get through this whitewash and get out of here safely. And luckily the swell has calmed down a little bit just for this little window, just the right amount of time to get us out of there. But it's not super fun to deal with this always. Sometimes it can be, but right now we're pretty over it. Pretty nauseous, pretty tired. Had enough for today. Now right at our exit point, it gets super calm and a nice gentle exit, and Walt helps me get out of the water. And we did it. We made it back on land.
Yeah, baby.
Uncomfortable swim back.
That's a long one, huh?
Do it now, and you're like, nope, too late.
Now we're gonna walk on out of here, and all this debris is new. The last rain, the deluge that happened, washed all this stuff down here, so it's super messy getting in and out. But what a cool hike. I love this place. And now here's a fun little bonus side mission. I popped over to Maui for a weekend and went on my first axis deer hunt, and I ended up grabbing about a 200-pound buck. Got super lucky, happened early on, and then I even got a chance to show my friends' kids how to cape and butcher. So I got the hide and the antlers back and a whole bunch of meat. Had a really good time, learned a lot of stuff. So it was really good to get the next generation involved that ate it right up. They're ready to go, because it's the most punk rock thing you can do is to collect your own food in this world. Get after it. We're super lucky we can do this here, so we're going to take full advantage. All right, we got some venison stir fry there. Throw a butter in this hot pan. We're gonna cook up some table boss. We're gonna do a surf and turf and throw that right over the top of that. What you know about that? Just throw some garlic salt in there. Cayenne pepper. And one slab of table boss for our surf and turf. That's rolling pretty good. And give this guy a flip. Oh yeah. Let's go mosey on out here. Here's one of my hindquarters off my axis deer in the smoker. I'm gonna put that in for 3-4 hours and then wrap it up with some maple syrup and some bones and some butter. And we're gonna put it in the oven at 200 for 12 hours. That should be pretty good. All right, this is ready. So we're just gonna pour this over some avocado. And we'll put some fish over that. All right, that table boss is done. Look at that flake in there. That's why that fish is so good. One for you and one for me. Do a little butter pour over. Oh yeah. Just gonna hit it with a tiny bit of ginger. Put a cockhead to dress it up. Bam. Right. I think some venison and table boss surf and turf over avocado. We did the surf and turf, or we did the venison last night. Stir fry. We're just reheating it right now. But we've been eating a lot of venison, but it's time for some fish again. Let's see how these go together. That fish is so underrated, right?
They're kind of a pain to clean.
Very flaky, but
Flaky.
crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way that the meat feels when you're taking it off the fish is like nothing like it cooks. It's almost like goatfish, right? Kind of that flake.
That's it. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're exhausted. We want to eat. We got a long week ahead of us. We've had a long week behind us. I'm still recovering, so we're going to call it there. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time. Phew!